You're listening to the Jōrni Podcast. Could the simple things we share at the table carry the power to heal and connect us? Listen in for today's thought-provoking conversation. Hi, I'm Petra Brunbauer, and with decades of experience with sadness, pain, anxiety, and stress, I finally figured out how to leave all that behind. And this podcast shows you how to break free permanently so you can reclaim your sanity and find the self-esteem and energy to go after the life you desire. With real talk about mental health, holistic healing, and the tough journey of coming out the other end. This is the Jōrni Podcast. Welcome to today's episode. Food is often one of the first ways we learn to give and receive care. In this episode, we explore how meals, memories, and shared kitchens shape our relationships with ourselves and others. Through personal stories and reflections, we're reminded that food is more than fuel. It's connection, tradition, and often the most reliable thread we carry from one chapter of life to the next. Lynne Bowman, author of Amazon bestseller Brownies for Breakfast, has been featured at women's expos throughout the country, teaming with actress Deirdre Hall to write and publish Deirdre Hall's Kitchen Close-Up and Deirdre Hall's How Does She Do It? She's won national awards as a creative director for Silicon Valley companies, was creative director at A&J Gallo Winery, advertising manager at Redken Laboratories, and freelanced for agencies in San Jose, Los Angeles, and New York. She has also worked as an actress, makeup artist, screenwriter, illustrator, legal journalist, and television weather person. Lynne and her husband have a small farm on the coast of Northern California. Let's meet Lynne Bowman. Hi, Lynne. It's so great to have you on the podcast today. I've been looking forward to getting to chat with you because we'll be diving a little bit into how food connects us, amongst other things, which I think is a fascinating topic and many, many things that connect to that we can chat about. So welcome to the podcast.
I am so happy to be with you. We've always been yakking our heads off, it seems like. And so let's record this. Let's do this for everybody. Good idea.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do love the getting to know my guests a little bit before the episode. So thank you for all of those insights and sharing that with me. And then now we'll bring some of that to the listeners as well. Now, for starters, Lynne, would you like to share a little bit about yourself and maybe let our listeners know your journey with what we're going to be talking about today and how that connects up, and maybe also a little bit of what your mission or your vision is and what you'd like to talk about and how that connects to what you do today so they can get to know you a little bit.
Well, that's a whole lot. And my journey is a long one. I mean, that's a few thousand pages because, and I love to say this, Petra, I'm older than dirt. If you're listening to this and you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s, honey, I am old. I just had my 79th birthday. So that means I'm in my 80th year. And I keep saying that because I can't believe it's like, wait a minute, what? 80th, did you say? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we all have this peculiar idea, I think, about what 79 or 80 looks like, and sounds like, and feels like. And I can tell you from my point of view, none of that had anything to do with me. And I do believe, as we were talking earlier, that my gift was finding out early in my life that I was a type 2 diabetic. And because of a number of things, because of the fact that my mother had died young and I wound up with 3 kids, little ones, single mom, and that's a whole other story. And it's really gruesome. It's one of those awful stories, but that ends well, happily. All kids are now fine, and I have 3 grandchildren. But everything that I say and do now is highly colored by the fact that I've been saying it and doing it for a long time. And I've watched things change so much in the medical community and society. And we were just talking about the fact that when I graduated from high school in 1964, the options for women weren't there. I mean, Harvard was not co-ed. To go out and get one of those degrees that takes you places wasn't going to happen. So my whole attitude about my future, my world was different than women now, younger women. And I think that's a very interesting thing always to talk about. But my mission, as it were, is to let people know that there is a way to get really old with type 2 diabetes and be fine. And in fact, you're finer than people who haven't been paying attention, who haven't been doing the things that I want you to do for type 2. Because guess what? It's the same if you have heart disease, liver disease, kidney disease, any of those things. If you want to prevent this whole list of things that should be prevented, it's all the same. It's a matter of what you're eating and how you're eating and are you moving? And a big one, sleep. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But my most recent book, an Amazon bestseller, I have to say that. Yay, yay. And it's fairly big type and lots of pictures, very simple, because everything that everybody now is talking about food and microbiology and macros and all these things. No, no, no. Here's Granny. And I'm going to tell you that here's what it is. It's a few words. Real food. Okay? Real food, whole food, mostly plants. But, if you want to eat some meat, if you want to eat some fish, great. Make sure you know where it comes from and what it is. And if it was happy and emotionally well adjusted, and if it was raised by happy, emotionally well adjusted people, then go right ahead. But it's as simple as that. It's real food. If that's the only change you make, it's brilliant and your life will be better and your health will be better. But a big part of that, and this is the ow part for a lot of people, sugar, cane sugar, is not real food. It's processed highly. It's not real food. And so your job, whenever you're out there shopping for anything to eat, is to read, period, the period, label, period. So see how easy? Short words, whole food, real food, read the label. And if you can't spell it, can't pronounce it, don't know what it is, guess what? It's not real food. And it's astonishing. And I'm still making that mistake. Me, if you can imagine, I'm still making that mistake at Trader Joe's, which is one of my favorite places to shop. And that's in the United States. I don't think, is Trader Joe's in Canada yet? I don't, good market, healthy stuff. And I brought home some pimento cheese, which I thought, oh, brilliant. And it was delicious. And I put it on toast with nuts on top and pistachios. It was just heavenly. And then I went, oh, I really should read the label, which at my age, with my eyes, I had to go find some glasses. I had to really look hard because they make the type purposely very difficult to read, but I managed to read it. And guess what was in it? Sugar. What? And of course, I did the calculate, and it's not much. It's a teeny weeny bit, but it's the principle, right? Sugar is hiding in almost anything that you get that has a label of any kind on it. And if you don't know by now what sugar does to you, I don't have time here to list all of the awful things, but know that it's not good. I mean, it is inflammation, huge part of what sugar does to you. And if you're at all health geeky, which I'm guessing your listeners are, right? Raise your hand up there if you're a health geek. You know what inflammation is, what it does, and how difficult it is to get rid of, and how many things it causes to go wrong. Well, one of the big causes of your inflammation is sugar. Now, if you're in France, no, It's not a problem because that's not how y'all eat in France. And in fact, I had a friend in college, Thierry, who was in grad school and lived in my dorm at UCLA. And I ended up going and staying with his family in Bordeaux. And he used to just rant at the table about you Americans, you put sugar in everything. How can you stand to eat this food? It's just all sugar. And this was in the 60s. So, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse. So, yeah, and I'm ranting, I know. But my point is, it's not complicated. If you just know those three or four things and you make a decision, that's the hard part. If you really do make a decision that you're going to make a change, that it's worthwhile to you to make a change for yourself, for your family, for your kids, it's not hard. You can do it and never feel deprived. Never feel like you've lost anything. In fact, you'll feel like you've had a gift because the food will be more delicious, more beautiful, more fragrant. You will impress your friends by cooking these wonderful things. Because again, Americans, nobody's cooking. Everybody is watching cooking shows. I'm not making this up. They are watching cooking shows on TV while they eat Doritos and sit on the couch or in their bed. Not good. Just no, not good. That's a big fat no. So you will have to chop something. You will have to go in whatever you have that's kitchen-like and chop something. The other thing that people don't have in their homes anymore, which is kind of shocking for someone like me, tables. You need a table and chairs. And the reason you need a table and chairs is because you should not be eating your meal standing up or on your couch or in the back or the front of a car. Are we nodding our heads now? Is that you out there listening? Are you eating out of a bag in the front of a car by a steering wheel while your kids go to basketball practice? Or are they eating out of a bag in the back of the car? Not good for so many reasons. One, I happen to know that food, wherever you drove through, whichever place you drove through, it's not good food. One. Two, now you have a bag and plastic stuff and a cup with a plastic top. And now you need to get rid of all that trash. Not good. Plus, you probably spilled it in the back of your car. You know that. So that's not good either. And so, all those reasons, I want you to have a table and I want you to use it. And I know that's so old fashioned, right? Who is this grandma telling me I need to sit down to a table? You do. And do you need me to tell you why? Okay, do I see your heads nodding out there? Raise your hands if you want me to tell you why. And I will tell you. One, it's physiological that when you sit down and look at food and smell food and talk about food before you eat it, your body actually has time to prepare to receive that food. And your cells, and this is grandma talk, this is not, doctor of microbiology talk. Your cells are talking to each other going, okay, she's going to start shoveling some stuff down. Let's get ready. You ready? Yeah. Where are your friends? Okay. And let's make some of that acid that we need to, digest the stuff. And okay, we'll do that. The other thing that's happening, hopefully, is that you're not alone. If you are alone, okay, not the end of the world, but may I suggest that you maybe walk down the hall, knock on a door. Mr. Johnson, come on over for some soup. Or Mrs. Smith, I made brownies. Want some? They're really healthy. They're good. It sounds corny, and kind of un-American, but you will never be sorry that you have it. Well, there are times when you invite someone to your table and they talk too much. We all know that. But you really won't be sorry that you made a friend that way because humans are meant to share food. That's how we're built. That's how we socialize. We share food. And if you've taken the trouble to make something and set a place at a table for someone, and then you're sitting with that someone eating and talking, you're eating slower too, right? That's good. And you're eating with utensils, which moms are telling me now that kids are growing up not even knowing how to use utensils at the table. And I see your French head nodding there. It's like, okay, this is so shocking for some other cultures. But in America, we don't use utensils, we use our hands. All right, it's good. Using your hands for things is good. But at the table, I think we owe our children an education in how to sit with other grown-ups at a table and converse and listen and learn, and how to express appreciation at the table and how to share at the table. I mean, aren't these pretty basic kind of building blocks of society? And if you're sitting in the back of a car eating out of a bag, what do you know about how to converse with people at the table, or how to pass the salt, or how to use your utensils? And the day will come when you are applying for a college or a job or making friends with your sweetheart's family or something, where you think, ooh, dang, what are they doing with their forks? My napkin, I forgot to put it on my lap. Ooh, yeah. Oh, they're chewing with their mouths closed. That's important, I think. Don't wait until you're in your 30s to learn some of these things. And don't let your children, please, go into the world without knowing some of these things. And there's nothing elite about any of this, by the way. This is just normal. This is being kind. This is being generous. This is being thoughtful. Nothing wrong with that. And we do it around food. And by the way, I am not the greatest cook in the world. I don't even really like to cook that much. I like to eat, and I love to party. I love having friends around the table. That's what I really like, and my family. And I love being healthy. So guess what? I have no choice. I have to cook. And that's my message for everybody. But here's the deal. You can do it, as I always did, 15 minutes, home, kids, you do this, you do that. Okay, let's do it. And we would have dinner on the table in 15 minutes. Because maybe we planned a little bit before we left in the morning, crock pot or some other thing, or I put a thing in the fridge that I was going to pull out. And I entertained my business, a single mom, 3 kids, no income or support whatsoever, except what I could earn. So I entertained my business friends, my clients, at my table, in my kitchen, with my kids. So guess what? They learned how to set the table, clear the table, pass the salt, keep their darling little mouths shut at appropriate times, because these are mom's business friends. So yes, they were absolutely part of the conversation, and they could ask questions and so on, but they had to learn to behave at the table. Now, that may sound shocking to some of you listening to this as you drive along this morning or this afternoon or tonight, but I'm still thinking that matters. Would love to hear from you all if you think that matters too. And I have a new Substack. It is just, you go Lynne Bowman, all together, LYNNEBOWMAN.substack.com. Yay, simple. And I'm putting something out every few days that's this kind of granny stuff, but recipes or tips and tricks, some snark thrown in there for good measure, because I can't help myself. I'm sorry. But, when you're looking at 80, you get to be eccentric, don't you? Isn't that the good news there? So, yeah, a little bit eccentric. But that's my message for y'all. It's simple, it's doable. You'll be happier and healthier. Your kids will be happier and healthier. You need to eat real food. Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
And people are whining all the time about how expensive it is.
Yeah.
No, it's not. You're going to use up everything in your fridge. First of all, I don't want you throwing anything away. So the first thing you do when you prepare a meal is you open her up and see what you've got and then eat that. Okay, that's not hard. That's simple. You are not going to automatically have a guy at the front door with a hot meal for you, although, and one of my next Substacks is going to be about how my 3.5-year-old grandson makes pizza with me. Pizza, America's favorite food, most addictive food. You can make it healthy. You can make it cheap and wonderful by making it. You can get really good crusts now. You can get cornmeal crusts or gluten-free crusts from Trader Joe's. Other people read the label, make sure it's a pretty good one. And then I use olive pesto, my favorite, or regular old basil pesto instead of a tomato sauce. It's always good. It's delicious. And I start piling stuff on it. Use up those artichoke hearts that you've got a half a bottle in the fridge. Use up those onions, slice them real fine. Use up a little bit of sausage that nobody. That's how you make pizza. You make it with what you have. Always have some mozzarella or some vegan mozzarella in the fridge, some Parmesan. You're there. Good. It's wonderful. And hopefully you've put your veggies right on it. So you are truly eating a balanced meal with enough protein and lots of greens and some olives and who knows what else. You use up what you have and make delicious pizza that way. Kids love making their own food, and kids will eat what they make. They will also eat what they grow. So, highly encourage having whatever kind of little bitty, little tub of something. In my case, I've got some raised beds out front, and Wolfie, my grandson, and my husband have just finished planting fava beans in the raised beds, and if you don't know fava beans, look them up. Absolutely delicious. They cook in a few minutes. I mean, like 5 minutes, a little bit of lemon, butter, olive oil, some chopped up parsley on top of them. It's a meal, high protein, high fiber, and it costs you, are you ready for this? Maybe $1 for some seeds. And you can feed the family for days on a little crop. And the flowers are beautiful. So do not whine to me about what food is costing. It's only costing you that much because you're buying the wrong kind of food, wrong places, or eating it out of a bag in the back of a car. And I said, quit that.
Yeah, absolutely. I do feel that the processed food is sometimes cheaper than the actual vegetables and fruits, which was kind of an odd thing when I lived in Canada. But if you buy here, you live with the seasons, especially here in Europe. So it was a change. And I have to say, because I'm not sure if people who live in America also have this sort of seasonal way that they cook, because here, for example, in the wintertime, we eat a lot of cabbage or zucchini or squash, and the summer vegetables aren't really available. So there's a real culture around the cooking and when you cook what and when your body is sort of positioned, throughout the year and throughout the seasons to really fully absorb different kinds of food. So I love the idea of this food culture and eating real and whole food. Part of the experience that I love is touching the food and smelling it. And while you're preparing it, you're already feeling some of that goodness that's going to be coming on your plate. So yeah, I grew up with a family that was very food oriented. I grew up in Germany, so food was a big thing. And dinner always together at the table. Sunday lunch, there had to be something like a roast or something special for Sunday lunch where the family came together. And I think that that shaped us as children, how we grew up and how we look at food, how we appreciate food, and how we appreciate that connection that food made between all of our family members who came together for these meals. So, yeah, a lot of what you said, I just love that sense of community. I feel in that sense, food can be very healing when you're enjoying that as a family as well.
Absolutely. And hearing you talk about Germany, I mean, I live right near the Salinas Valley, which is where a huge amount of America's vegetables are grown. And California, famously, we don't really have much of a winter by most people's understanding. And so the food is growing all the time, and we have all these fruit and nut trees all the time. But still, there is a season for things. One of the things that plays a big role in my book and in the recipes I give out is a pumpkin. And I live where pumpkins are grown just in huge amounts, and we have a pumpkin festival and the way off for the biggest pumpkin in the world and all that sort of thing, because they're sort of a funny vegetable that has a personality, right? I mean, there's something silly and sweet about pumpkins and the jack-o'-lantern and the magic pumpkin and all those things. And they also happen to be an extremely healthy food. So one of the tricks in my book is that instead of using flour and butter and grease to bake with, my brownies, for one example, are made with pumpkin and nut butter. So instead of processed flour and grease, you're getting a vegetable which is minimally processed, just right out of typically the can, but there's nothing in that can but pumpkin, one ingredient that you can spell and pronounce. And then cocoa is a health food. Chocolate is really good for you if you don't eat it with sugar. So the brownies are cocoa, pumpkin, nut butter, fabulous food, right? High protein, high fiber, great food. And then cinnamon. Also, we're now talking about all the healthy benefits, especially for type 2 diabetes, of cinnamon. And then some baking soda, and I forget what else is in them, hardly anything. Oh, eggs or egg substitute. It's fine, made with flaxseed usually. So look at how deliciously healthy those brownies are. But the trick is you cannot tell anybody before they eat them that there's no sugar in there. Because I guarantee you the people you're serving will kind of give you that look and they'll be like, okay, well, no thanks. That's all right. I'm good. Don't tell them. Wait until they've said, oh my gosh, those are the best brownies I ever ate in my life. They're so moist. They're so yummy. Then you can say, they're made with no sugar. They're really super healthy. They're like a meal, high protein. Yeah, but they have to taste them to believe it. And there's recipes for donuts and pancakes and other things in there, because if you're diabetic like me, or concerned about your weight, or you just want to prevent chronic disease, you're going to have to stop eating sugar and start eating this whole food. And here's how to do it so you will never miss what you're not eating anymore. You can still eat wonderful sweets. Oh, sweetener. Oh, okay. Let's talk about this for a minute, because there's a lot of misunderstanding out there about what, quote, artificial sweeteners are. The sweeteners that I use, two things. One, monk fruit, which is just monk fruit ground up, makes a great sweetener. Don't get it when it's mixed with erythritol, which is a sugar alcohol, which tends to give a lot of people belly issues. It's not agreeable for a lot of people. So monk fruit, okay. Some people are okay with stevia. I don't love the taste of stevia myself. But here's my favorite. You might have to write it down. It has a terrible name. It's a great product. Allulose, Allulose. Great sugar alternative. It is just squished. I think they squish it out of corn usually. It's a food product with one ingredient. Allulose is the only ingredient. And, now you can look any of this stuff up on your AI program. So, if you don't believe what I'm saying, just look it up. And I have not experienced anyone having any difficulty with it, any digestive issues with it. I don't read about that happening. If you want to argue with me, great. Write to me. You can send me a message at my website, lynnebowman.com, or on my Substack, lynnebowman.substack.com. And it's a conversation I welcome and enjoy having with people because you need to not be eating sugar. Let's fix this.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so many things hidden in those labels that are sugar and are posing under some name where we have no idea that that is sugar. So, yeah, thank you for pointing that out. And I will be looking for you on Substack later today because I have to say I just made my account today. So I will be looking
Right.
you up on there. Yeah.
Good. It's a good neighborhood. Welcome to the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that it's a very welcoming space. So I hope that this will be a great space for our listeners to connect with you as well and find out more about your book. Actually, I'm just going to mention that your book is called Brownies for Breakfast. I just wanted to make sure our listeners had the title. We'll, of course, be linking to all of that in the show notes as well, but just so they've heard that. And it sounds like a fantastic book that will give us all sorts of ideas on how to not miss food. We can do it in different ways where we just don't miss out on anything.
No deprivation required. And it is simple. I mean, there are recipes in there with two things in them, two ingredients. It's just, it's not overcomplicating anything. I already said, I'm lazy. I don't want to be in the kitchen all day. I want it fast. I want it good. I want it to work. And the book is also written so that your 8-year-old or your 85-year-old grandpa or uncle can use it just fine. It's easy.
And if it's easy, I feel like people will stick with it. If it's too complicated, we have to know too many things, we have to change too many things. The likelihood that we're going to stick with it is not very great. So I appreciate the fact that it is easy, straightforward. Some things only have two ingredients. I think the likelihood that we can make a switch that way is much, much greater. And then we'll actually stick with it because we feel like it's not that much more work or any different than what we had already been doing. We're just maybe swapping ingredients for better quality, for no sugar, but still not spending a ton more time.
And I'm not the first person to come on your show and talk about how important it is to just hang in there, stay with it, keep at it. First, make the decision. That's the hard part. Really decide, and then do it and keep doing it. And you look up one day and go, how could I have ever not done this? How could I? But the secret is just make it a habit, do it, and keep doing it. So I might as well give you this recipe that's in there, one of them that I'm thinking about with two ingredients, just to prove my point. The best salad dressing ever is made with just stirring up tahini and a really good balsamic vinegar. I particularly like, for example, an apricot balsamic. It has a little bit of sweetness to it because it's made with natural fruit. But you just take the good balsamic and the tahini. I don't measure. I just kind of splash them in there and you mix it up really well in the bottom of your salad bowl and dump your salad in there. And trust me, now if you know what tahini is, it's just ground sesame seeds. It's so good for you. You need to be eating more seeds, everybody, nuts and seeds. And it is a fabulous, fabulous dressing. And once again, don't let anybody see you doing it. Put it on the table and have them eat the salad and go, what in the world how did you get this salad dressing so wonderful? And of course, you can always add some pepper to it or a little bit more salt, but that's how you put a meal on in 15 minutes. That's amazing. You don't mess around. You know you've got the two ingredients, you've got some salad stuff, you dump it in a bowl, you stir it up, you're done. That's it. And you know what? If you throw some frozen shrimp in there, pull them out of the freezer, run some warm water over them, throw them in there. Now you've got dinner. That's it. You've got protein and you've got all your vegetables in the salad. You're good already.
And there's a playfulness to it. I love that. I think we have to enjoy what we eat, right? We have to just be excited about it. And this is part of playing with the different flavors, making it simple, putting together real foods. And it is an enjoyable thing that actually is kind of fun then to design some lunches and dinners.
Yes, I don't want you stressing about it. In fact, people ask me, well, what are the couple of words that you want to leave with people all the time? I always wind up with eat joyfully. No guilt, no exhaustion, right? Because you've been working so hard on this, whatever it was, bread. Just eat joyfully. That affects all the people around you and your body. And I will assume that you will eat joyfully because you're eating the right stuff. And it's not going to give you indigestion. Let's talk timing a little bit here. Because the other thing I think is super important, especially if you've been having any health difficulties, this is such a simple thing. People go, I don't know if I can do it. Yes, you can do this. Eat earlier. Eat your big meal sometime during the day, whenever. Breakfast, fine. Lunch, fine. 2 o'clock, fine. Stop eating as early as you can in the afternoon. In my case, it's usually 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Sometimes it's 4. Sometimes because of things, it's 5. But that's it, because you need at least 3 to 4 hours before you go to sleep after you've eaten. And we don't have time to go into the whole dang microbiology of autophagy, which is what we're talking about, but you can look it up. It's spelled auto, AUTOPHAGY. You may know about this already. It simply means your cells can do the process of cleansing themselves, of recycling the little bits and pieces. It's a thing they do normally and naturally, and it keeps all your pieces and parts working better. But to do it, they need to not be digesting food. And I always think of it as the highway, the guys out there with the shovels and the brooms and stuff. They can't do this when the highway is full of cars. They have to go out there after traffic is gone to do the cleanup. Your body works the same way. And a thing that I didn't know when I was younger, and I've only learned it in the last few years, your body can only heal. Now, again, raise hands if you know this already. That's good. Your body can only heal in deepest sleep. And so if you are not giving yourself enough consecutive hours of sleep so that you can go through the different cycles of sleep, you're not healing from whatever you need to heal from. And I'm always amused in a sick way and shocked at how doctors were taught not to sleep in medical school. The one thing that is going to heal people, they themselves were taught not to do, that it was for wimps only. If you're a real doctor, you can stay up 24/7 and do what you need to do. That's BS. We're humans and we must sleep, and we must get enough sleep at one time to heal. So this is for your skin, for your liver, for that boo-boo on your arm, whatever it is, you have to sleep well. So I think of it as recreational sleeping. I mean, the whole ritual where your pillows are just right and and yes, I know about having the kids and being up all night with the baby, and I've been there, I've done it. But when you are allowed to go to sleep, which in my case, happily now is 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, yay, make it good, make your bed just the way you want it to be and give it priority. And please don't be watching crappy TV shows until you go to sleep. It's just like eating crappy food. for your brain. No, you can read. It's okay, but make it something that is going to nourish you and not depress you, please, which these days, I know, not the easiest thing, but makes it all the more important to do. Yeah. So recreational sleeping, highly recommend it. It's okay to wake up in the middle of the night, go to the potty, whatever, come back. That's not going to be a problem. If you get back in bed and position your legs up with a pillow underneath and you put yourself in your right position and you talk to yourself, okay, self, you can go back to sleep now. It's good for you. You're good. You will go back to sleep, typically. I have a lot of friends of a senior persuasion who talk about waking up in the middle of the night. And you can look up to sleep. It's a thing that a lot of people are talking about now, how a lot of us have our sleep in two segments in a night. And some people think it's because we were designed to protect the tribe. So there was always someone awake, and it should be the older people in the middle of the night because who cares about them? And that's interesting, I think. But yeah, sleep, it's so important. But that's why no pizza in front of Jimmy Kimmel at night. No. This stuff is all recorded. You can watch it at a more decent hour, but please, no. Give yourself that time after you eat for your body to adjust. And so that you will have something like 14 to 16 hours at least between your last meal and your next meal, which sounds to some people like, wait, what? But if you do the math, no, it's not that hard to do that. It's just a little adjustment. And it's usually just a little adjustment in not eating so late.
Yeah. And it is kind of a thing when we work that we eat late because some people come back after work, it's late, they have to make dinner for the kids. There's a lot going on. They have to pre-plan for the next day. So dinner kind of gets pushed later, 8:00, 8:30. So yeah, really good insight to make that a little bit sooner. And of course, here in Europe, we have the big meal for lunch. So our big warm meal is 12:00 usually. And then I just have a little snack and a really light dinner usually in the afternoon, about 5 p.m. And that's it. So it is a bit of a different rhythm when you switch that meal to the middle of the day. Yeah.
Yeah. And enlist your children in this. Explain to them what you're doing so they understand. And they will be all about it, hopefully, in most cases. And I can say, as someone, my oldest is going to be 50 in August. They get to the point where they finally say to you, Ma, you were right about this or that. And they've all individually said to me, by the way, and surprised me by saying, all those nights at our dinner table were like an MBA in marketing from you. They feel like that's where they learned the craft, you know? And we think about parents teaching their children farming or how to build homes or whatever. Well, parents are teaching their children. And I learned marketing at my father's side at the dinner table, and which may not sound like a noble thing to learn at the dinner table, but you know what? It made a career for me. And my children all claim that it has helped made careers for them. So don't underestimate what goes on at the dinner table.
That's if we can get everyone to put their phones down, right? We want to have the actual connection when we're around the dinner table.
Connect with the food and connect with each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I didn't have the phone situation with my kids. We didn't have phones.
Yeah.
And I see it with my grandchildren now, the challenge. Yeah, you got to fix this, folks. Yeah. You don't want a bunch of little robots running the world.
Phone-free dinner time, I think, is actually a great time to reconnect, find out about everyone's day, kind of plug back into the family, and just have a bit of away time from the screen, which is good for your mental health too. So you're getting an all-around really good experience, good food, some digital detox. I think that we can all do with a couple of hours away from the screens. And that helps us probably digest the food better as well and settle into the flavors and the conversations. So, yeah. Well, thank you, Lynne, for coming on and joining me today and sharing all your wisdom from your life and the changes that you have made and how you are working with your diabetes through the diet and the lifestyle changes. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I have learned so much in this time that we have spent together. And thank you for bringing all this to our listeners and out into the world so that we can all start making some healthier choices and living just a much better quality of life long into old age.
Well, and I want to wrap up by saying, I think I mentioned this already, but I've never been happier. Who knew? We this picture we have of getting older is kind of not a glamorous, fun, great picture, but you have freedom that you never had. You probably have a better financial situation with any luck. You have a lot of things if you're healthy. And being healthy when you're in your late 70s, 80s starts when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So don't wait. Do it now.
Yeah. Get your hands on Lynne's book and join her in the Substack. And of course, we will be linking to all of Lynne's resources in the show notes as well so that you'll know where to find those. And I'm going to get your book and I'm going to try. You've made me curious about the brownie recipe. So I'm going to tell our listeners my brownie experience after I get the book. So thank you for that. And hopefully our listeners will find their own recipes that they really love and maybe share those with us on the podcast or share with Lynne in the Substack. Let her know what's happening with you and her book and what you've maybe tried to cook for your family or together with your kids and how that worked out. We'd love to hear about that. And I wish you all the best going forward. Hopefully some more books. This is really inspiring. So I can't wait for you to create another cookbook and definitely take really good care of yourself, Lynne.
Thank you. You too. This has been big fun, and let's do it again.
Sounds fantastic. I love talking about this, and I think we can't really underscore how important this is going forward in a world where we're seeing more unhappiness and disease, I think, than ever before. So, such an important thing just to bring out to the attention and highlight it in the world. So,
And thank you for what you're doing along these lines. I really appreciate that
oh,
very much.
thank
So
you. We'll work together on this. Yeah, that
we're
sounds fantastic.
allies now. You bet.
Yes. We'll bring this into the world and hopefully inspire people to make those healthier choices. So thank you, Lynne. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen in. If you enjoy the Jōrni Podcast, please support us by subscribing, sharing on social media, and leaving us a review. We appreciate you. And you can find more of The Jōrni on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and our website, thejōrni.com. Sending you love and courage, and see you next time.